Hi, welcome to this preview video for another new game that is coming to crowdfunding soon, and this is 21X. This is a simply, I should say, a deck of cards which essentially players are using to trying to get a total of as close to 21 or preferably 21 and win the round. As close to 21 as possible or 21 and win the round. But it does it in such a clever way because it's using simple math formulas, and there are different levels of cards. You can go from level 1 to level 3, so you can make it easier or more difficult depending on which cards you use. To do simple calculations, multiplications, dividing numbers, etc., so that you can get your cards to sum to 21 and win the round. Everyone is been dealt 2 cards from the deck. It's a simple deck of cards. You'll be dealt 2 cards from the deck, and everyone is playing on the same time. It's simultaneously. It's a real-time game. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to use an X value. You decide what the X value is. It can be negative, positive, but it has to be an integer. Okay, so you decide what the value is. Could be 1, -2, 5, okay, 2, -8, whatever. To use it across all the X values on your cards, and you start with 2 cards and you can get another card if you want, or another card all the way up to 5 if you choose to. But the X value should be the same, so that your total sum is 21. Or be clever, or try to be fast and find as close to 21 as possible, maybe 18 or 19, not 20, you cannot stick with 20. And then the timer starts in 1 minute, and everyone else has to do something better than you, or solve it with 21 and their cards with 21 and win the round. Extremely fun, extremely interesting. I think this is a game that a lot of people are going to love it, and it's a game that it's going to impress your gaming group, I'm telling you, even if they are not gamers, even if they are gamers, no matter their math level skill, they're definitely going to be impressed. I was impressed. And something just important to note here, if you're not a math person, I'm not a math person myself. I love games with math. I'm not doing well in economic games. I love them. I also love mathematics in games. Enjoy them. But I don't consider myself to be a math person. Okay, I'm not extremely good with math. That being said, I really enjoyed this game. And the reason I enjoyed this game is that, first of all, you can adjust the level. You can start with level 1, go all the way to level 2 and level 3. But it has, I cannot describe it, it has an element of challenge, of fun, trying to get the cards that you have to work, your cards, of course, in real time before the person next to you does, and win the round. And you're going to be making mistakes for sure, and if you make mistakes, you're out of the round, so this is important as well. So stress is important. If you're stressed, you need to perform as well. But even casually, this is a fun game. What I mean is, you're simply trying to make your cards ideally be combined in a way where you define the X value so that they give a number of 21 or as close to 21 as possible. The other interesting point I should mention is that there is also the value of N, which N stands for the number of cards you have. So you start with 2 cards, so your N value is 2. So if you have N in the different formulas on either card, and when I say formulas, don't think of something super difficult. Okay, they are small X divided by 2, or 2 times N plus 1, so things like that. But N stands for the number of cards you have, and it starts with 2 because you get 2 cards at the beginning of the round. If you get more cards, you can decide to do whenever you want. N will be different because N will be 3 for any cases where N is mentioned on formulas. So things like that are really clever, very interesting design, very simple, very easy to teach, with a lot of difficulty levels, with a lot of things to tweak, and something that I'm telling you, hands down, it will definitely impress yourself most of all, and most importantly, but everyone you show this game to, and you should definitely check it out. I'm going to add the link in the description of the video so that you can find more information about the game, the crowdfunding campaign page, when it starts and when it launches. It's going to be early September, and for more information about the game. They're going to have more things revealed during the campaign, from what I understand. So stay tuned for more information, and let me join me on the table. I'll show you how the game plays in practice and how it works. Welcome to 21X. That's a quick mathy puzzle game that you can play with anyone, from children all the way to university math professors. It's an interesting and stimulating experience, and it's a game like no other, very fun and very clever. In 21x, players are racing to make up their cards to add up to 21. But, unlike other games, their cards are different algebraic equations with x and n values. X is a whole number that the player chooses that must be the same across all of their cards, and n is the number of cards a player has. Player starts with 2 cards, but they may acquire more cards all the way up to 5. A player wins by judging when they need more cards competently and when solving these cards correctly and faster, so that the game rewards accuracy, speed, and occasionally pushing your luck. The components are very simple. You have 51 21x cards and 2 player aids that you see here in front of you. So these are the components of the game. 2 very fast, quick player aids just to show you when you're not sure how to do your sums, what is the order in which you do your sums. So whenever you have brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition or subtraction, this is the order, and how to work with minus numbers. So these are just player aids, so they are handy, but the game is very simple in terms of concept, of idea, but also very challenging and interesting. And you can also tune the difficulty. You can go all the way from level 1 difficulty to level 2 and level 3. So, setup. You choose the card difficulty. You decide if you want to adjust the math difficulty. By default, it's recommended to use all the cards in the deck, which has all levels. It's level 3 difficulty. But if you want to make the game easier, the math in the game easier, you can remove the level 3 or both the level 3 and level 2. These levels feature, the level 2 and level 3 feature more complex equations, and mathematical operators that are used at level 1 tend to be more easy. So this is the level 1 difficulty, and you can see the level 1 difficulty because they have one triangle, as you can see on the top right. So this is level 1 and this is level 1. So if you use only the triangle cards, the ones with the triangle at the top right side of the card, then you're playing level 1. If you add in this the ones with the square and the triangle, you're playing, so both the triangle and the square and the triangle, so both of these type of cards, then you're playing with level 2. And if you add to all those 2 also the level 3, and you play with what the game is intended originally, which is the level 3. But again, you can easily make it level 1, especially if you're playing with younger kids or if you just want to learn the game. But even if you're playing all with all the levels, so the full deck of cards, there is a possibility to tweak the difficulty levels even more and do difficulty adjustments. So game setup. Once you have decided what cards you want to use, you shuffle the deck with those cards and put them in easy reach for all players. You deal 2 cards from the deck to each player, face down. So I should have a deck of cards. Shuffle thoroughly, and I deal 2 cards to each player, and I make a deck of cards there. Okay, so each player, they're going to have 2 cards in front of them. Okay, and once this is done, then these cards are face down when I'm dealing them. Then I put the 2 player aids in easy reach for the players, and where the useful information on how you work with negative numbers and the order for doing your sums is included. And once we've done all this, we're ready to start the game. How to play? First, all players simultaneously reveal the cards. Okay, everyone should have 2 cards. Yeah. So this is a 3-player game, so every player reveals their 2 cards in front of them. I'm sitting here, and the round begins. Players try to work out a value for x that makes their own cards add up to 21, or as close as possible without going bust. We're going to see what happens then. Now, the value of n is determined by the number of cards you have. If I have 2 cards, the number of n is 2. I cannot change this. Players cannot pick what n is. It's simply the number of cards you have. If I have 2 cards, number of n stands for 2. If I have 4 cards, not from my players to the left and the right, but just from the deck, if I have 4 cards, I can have all the way up to 5. If I have 4 cards, the n equals 4. Okay, simple as that. And I always start with 2, so n cannot be less than 2 because I started with 2 cards. X must be same across all cards. So if I decide that, let's say it was something like that. If I decide that X would be 5, okay, it should be 5 for this card and that card and even another card. All cards should have the same number for X, whatever I decide it to be. I choose it to be, okay? X must be an integer, whole number, but it can be positive or negative. That means it can be, X can be either 1, 2, 5, 15, 20, minus 15, minus 2, okay, up to me. But it has to be either positive or negative, and it has to be an integer. And X cannot be 0, okay, so you cannot have X as 0. Now, let's see an example. Let's say a player has 3 cards in front of them, and these cards are these cards specifically, okay? So you have to work a number for X that would be so that the number of total of the cards, the sum of the cards, will end up to be 21 or as close as possible. So in this case, if I set my number of X for 2, that means that my total will be 21, because 2 times 6 will be 12, 2 times 2 will be 4, plus 4, 8, okay, so 12 plus 8, 20, and 2 divided by 2 equals 1, so 20 plus 1, 21, so the total of those cards are 21. A player can make 21, okay, that's the aim of the game, and then you, or at least the best you can get, and then you immediately call out 21, you shout 21. Players state their value for X, that is immediately shows how the solution is done. So you say my value is 2, and this is how I got my solution, okay, 2 times 6, 12, 2 times 2, 4, plus 4, 8, 2 divided by 2 equals 1, okay, so I have to both shout out 21, this is the first thing you do, and then you have to say what your X is and demonstrate your solution. If they are correct, the round ends and they win. If they are wrong, they're out of the round and play continues. Twisting. Any player may decide to twist at any time and draw another card, which will increase, of course, the number of the value of n. So here I have, let's say I don't have nn, but let's say I was like that. Okay, I have a value for n. Not all cards have n on them, okay, or not all cards have x on them, okay. So let's say I was like that, and I decide to twist, okay. So simply draw another card and I add it to my line of cards. This automatically increases the value for n. So n from 2 goes to 3. You can twist any point during your turn. There is no turn, so anyone can twist and just simply get a card, but players cannot, and they should not have more than 5 cards. So 5 cards is the limit that you can have in front of you. Another rule is sticking. If a player can't make 21, they may decide to stick at any time by calling out the number they stick on and their value for X. For example, stick on 18. X equals 5. After the first player has declared that they are sticking, all other players have 1 minute left to make 21 or as close to it as possible. Keep in mind that players may stick on a decimal fraction. Only X must be an integer. Players may not stick on exactly 20. It's forbidden to stick on the value of 20. And once they stick, they can't change their number, even if they figure out a better solution. Once they stick, no one else may now stick, but another player may still call 21 during that minute. After the minute is up, the round ends. Determining the winner. The first player to make 21 correctly wins. If no one makes 21, the player who can make the number closest to 21 without going over it is a winner. To work this out, starting with the player to the right of the person who called stick, each player says if they can beat the sticking player's total number. If they can beat the sticking player, then they must immediately say what their value of X is. Players can't win with exactly 20, making this number is the same as going bust or not making a number at all. If in all cases the winner must always show the solution, then you have to demonstrate how you got your winning solution. And if you've got your math wrong, the winner is the person with the next highest value, and so on. Play another round. To start playing your round, reshuffle and all player cards go back into the deck. You put them again in an easy reach for all players and deal again 2 cards from the deck to each player face down. You can track the total number of won rounds to decide the overall winner. Now, a final word about difficulty levels. The game has 3 difficulty levels designed to help you tailor the game to what your group wants or what you want, or also to the player's knowledge and skill in math. For example, you can use these levels to better tailor the game to a child educational stage. So for example, for level 1, you just tailor it so that you only use the cards with a triangle. Okay? Simpler, easier equations and whole number cards. Both positive and negative numbers are used. Operations, addition, subtraction and multiplication. If you want to increase the level, you go to using both triangle and square. Features: more complex difficult equations and operations, divide by 2, brackets, indices and powers. And then you can have level 3, as we've seen before, where you have both all the symbols, the 3 symbols on the top. These are level 3 cards. Okay, and this features even more complex difficult equations, operations, other division, including dividing negative numbers, etc. So, these are the basic difficulty tweaks that you can do that we have seen before. But there are other difficulty adjustments. You can do adjustments so that you can combine them with the adjustments that we described before to the deck, so that you can find what is best fit for the players or for the group. To make the game easier or more relaxed, feel free to let players use pen and paper to work out the total value of their cards. This is especially good for players without very good working memory, also with younger players. To make the game more challenging, allow players to use fractions or decimals for their x values. It's only recommended for players with very good mental arithmetic. How you decide ties. If the tie occurs between the sticking player and any other player, the sticking player is the winner. Otherwise, the player with the highest numbers of the highest difficulty card is the winner. If there's still a tie, all tied players celebrate their math skills and collectively win. What happens if someone calls 21 in the final minute but gets the sum wrong? If this happens, the minute resets. Players still have 1 minute from the interruption to decide on a solution. And also, maybe a question among many people's mind is why you can't win with exactly 20. You can't win with, and therefore cannot stick on exactly 20. And this is because, like blackjack, you start the game with 2 cards, because this is an even number. It cannot be 1, so it's at least 2. Okay, and the chance you draw cards that allow you to make exactly 20, specifically if there is a high, it's very high compared to the other whole numbers, and this makes the game too easy. Okay, so then that's why you cannot win with 20 and you cannot stick on 20. So there you have it. These are all the rules. It's very simple. I've been very scholastic. I've shown you the example of how to play 21x. So there you have it. This is 21x. This is a game like no other in my collection. I'm really happy to see ideas like that come out, and this is a fantastic I think selection for something that it's not out there so much, which is a small deck of cards keeping you engaged and happy and satisfied and thinking for a long time. This is a game that really is easy to teach, simply within 1 to 2 minutes, very fast to teach to everybody. And more importantly, it's very interesting the fact that you can adjust the difficulty. So you can have it with simple formulas, simple equations, okay, simple calculations to do using only the level 1 cards, or you can go all the way up to the full scale using level 2 and level 3 cards. And also on top of that, you can do additional modifications. And from what I know and what I understand, there are going to be many more things unlocked and offered during the crowdfunding campaign period, so you can find out more and more, and even get, I think, a special edition or something like that. But anyway, you have to follow the campaign to find out more about the game. The game itself, fast, simple, unique, very different, very easy to teach, very easy to play, short in time that it takes in order to get a session, but I'm sure everybody is going to want to go for more rounds. And the fact that it has an educational element, for me, it's also a plus. The fact that you're doing simple calculations is important. It has an educational element. It can be used to teach or improve the skills, the math skills of all sorts of people, from younger kids that they have a lower level of math skills, all the way to adults, etc. Really clever, and I think even this is just my thought. I'm actually reaching out there, but I think people who enjoy Sudoku games, they're going to love this one. It has, I think, the aspects that people who really love those puzzles included in the gameplay, but it does it in an easier, more approachable, and I should say more fun way as well, because it's real time, 2 cards, you start playing very quickly, and the fact that you can also stick. It's not only a matter of having the math skills, but also being quick and know when to push, because if you push too much, there's no way that you are going to get the solution. But the fact that you can stick, you can find a closest option to 21. Let's say I find an equation and an option that where my x is something, and it gives me, let's say 19 or 18. The timer starts, and everyone has 1 minute to find either a better solution than mine. So if I say 19, if I stick to 18, they may say 19, okay, but they have to make it work, or find 21 and win, okay, make it up to sum to 21 and win, which is not easy, especially when the timer is ticking and when you have just 1 minute to do that, even if you're good at math. So, and you can also use a pen and paper, so you can make it easier for people to write down their thoughts if you want, or use decimals instead of only fragments, instead of only integers, etc. So essentially, so many things that you can do just with a core deck of cards. Really fun, really different, really fresh, but extremely clever, and I highly recommend it. You should definitely check it out. I'm going to add a link in the description of the video so that you can follow up and follow the campaign. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you are with Epitrapaizoume.